you're losing gunfights by not doing this. Being good at hitting your shot is only half of the equation to a gunfight. The other half is making your enemies miss their shots on you. With his perfected crouch style, not only is Donk making his own shots easier to hit, but more importantly, he's making himself harder to hit for his opponents, and that is what gives him the extra seconds that enable him to get multi-kills like this. We've all seen the impact Donk has had on the pro scene recently, and it's undeniable that he's doing something right when it comes to playing CS2. And with my upcoming analysis of the mechanics behind his unique shooting style, you'll be able to emulate part of his incredible aim in your own games to get similar results. Now, disclaimer here, the reason Donk is so good is not just because of the unique aim style that I am about to break down. He has top-tier game sense, supreme positioning, and many other factors which I plan to break down in future videos that make him the pro killer that he is today. So don't assume that you're going to become a pro just by imitating his aim style. Now, when it comes to just his aim, Donk does some unique things that sets him aside from most pro players. I watched a lot of his POV to uncover his secret, and one thing I noticed is that he likes to crouch a lot. And if you were a CSGO player, you've probably learned the hard way that crouching and crouch spraying is an easy way to stay stuck in silver. But this may not be the case anymore, as Donk's performance seems to be shattering that paradigm. While looking back at his older clips, I noticed that he really didn't used to crouch as much in CSGO. I mean, he would do it from time to time like any normal player, but in his CS2 clips, he just straight up spams it. So I booted up CSGO to test and see if there were any differences between crouching in the two games that might account for why Donk does it in CS2 so much. And after hours of testing and reviewing footage, I found nothing. So since there is no noticeable difference, the only reason that I can come up with as to why this tactic is so successful for Donk is that it's just, well, weird. When faced with unfamiliar playstyles, people tend to struggle to adapt to them at first, and this is often how new metas are born. When people realize a new strategy or technique is very effective, it starts to gain traction and gets adopted by higher level players first, and then it slowly makes its way down the ranks until it has become meta. Perhaps the truth is that in CSGO, crouching was actually underutilized, and it could have also been as effective as it is now in the hands of players like Donk. In a game that's as extremely precise as Counter-Strike, the smallest changes can have massive consequences. I mean, let's not forget how a tiny $200 reduction in the price for the AUG and SG was enough to create entire metas around them. So yes, Counter-Strike is an extremely delicate game, and something as small as crouching more often can absolutely give you an advantage that can win you a lot of games. Besides, crouching actually does have a lot of advantages when used correctly. One advantage of crouch spraying that most people figured out way back in CSGO was that it actually does make your spray easier to hit. Not only is the actual bullet inaccuracy and spread reduced, but the height of the recoil gets lowered relative to where you were initially aiming, meaning that the amount you have to pull your crosshair down is reduced. This is beneficial because it means there is less focus on vertical recoil control, and it increases the chances of your spray connecting to your target, since on average, people are more often spraying above their enemy rather than below them. Sometimes Donk shoots his first bullet on his opponent's head, but then immediately crouches after that first shot to guarantee that the next few bullets won't go flying above their head, since the following few bullets account for most of the vertical recoil in any given spray. This increases his bullet accuracy, giving him the shortest time to kill. Now this leads me to the next reason as to why crouching like this is so beneficial for him, and that's because as Donk is crouch shooting, he continues moving side to side while tracking his enemy. and a moving target is always harder to hit despite how little they are actually moving, since the enemy now has to worry about tracking them on top of already trying to control their spray, making it even harder to shoot accurately. So while crouching is slow, it can actually be enough to offset the enemy's aim and give him the advantage. I mean, just look at this third-person POV of him when he gets that ridiculous 4K against Faze on Overpass. He also sometimes does a crouch-uncrouch maneuver that makes his head a lot more difficult to hit, which is absolutely massive in high-level play, since it can be the reason his opponent missed what should have been an instant kill for them. And now they have to either spray at him, or they have to reposition their crosshair to go for another headshot, all of which gives him more time to win the gunfight. Donk also times his crouch perfectly because he doesn't just instantly crouch before he begins shooting. Rather, he waits for his opponent to react to him, and right when they've honed in on his head and are about to start firing, Donk ducks, potentially dodging that first bullet that is aimed right at his head. And while his opponent is trying to fight him, they will most likely be standing still while spraying, which makes tracking them for Donk much easier. All of this weird movement ends up throwing the enemy's aim off, which is a major key in Donk's success. Now, if you're trying to imitate this playstyle, you have to be aware that it is a relatively high-level technique because you have to be able to read the situation and decide in a split second whether you should be crouch uncrouching, crouch walking, crouch tapping, or maybe even not crouching at all. And this might be a lot to handle if you're not good at hitting your shots in the first place. So for those of you that are struggling to hit your shots and are looking for a way to improve your aim, check out my previous video where I teach you how to improve your accuracy. So let me know what you guys think of Donk's aim in the comments, and if you have anything that you'd like to see me cover next. And yes, I do reply to every comment, so go ahead and comment. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. And thank you guys for watching. This has been your boy Nile, aka NYL, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. And if you're still watching now, then you're someone who's seriously looking to improve. So join my Discord link in the description and come talk to me. I'll be happy to help. I'll be offering free coaching sessions for a limited time too, so feel free to ask if that's something you're interested in.